Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
All right. So I actually love this YouTube channel because of all the different shit we cover. And I love when topics intertwine, especially because I think they're all, to me, they're all art forms. But as an art form, a lot of times society-wise, they want to like commercialize and capitalize off other people's talents or whatever the fuck. And if you're into film and you're into, like, let's be honest, what I see a lot of YouTube videos of, the downfall of film, you should be equally concerned about what they're doing with sports. And this is from the Dan Batard Show. The name of it is Game Changer or Game Over. It's the new ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers Discovery streaming bundle Endgame. Now that's a lot of fucking names right there. It's three, but those names hold so much fucking weight. ESPN, one of the biggest sports people, right, ever. Fox, which is the rival sports thing. And then Warner Brothers, one of the biggest entertainment, and I guess now sports. Like if you say like what, like TBS, TNT, I think those are under Warner Brothers, right? I'm pretty sure. You'd probably even include HBO with Hard Knocks and Real Sports.
Yeah, TNT, TBS, True TV for the NCAA basketball.
Yeah, the NCAA tournament, right? Fucking.
And then ESPN, ABC.
Imagine like ESPN, NBA shooter.
NASCAR.
Yeah, imagine ESPN, NBA shoot around, and they're not going to be tied to TNT, like NBA on TNT. We had like their whole crew of like Shaq, Chuck, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, like all on the same like network, basically. Because streaming is like networks now, right? Like basically, so it's not like they're on they're on different TV channels, but if everyone's moving to streaming, then it's basically like they're on the same TV channel. But I don't know what they're gonna say. Curious. Let's Broncos country. Let's ride.
Has written stuff on the back of a piece of paper that looks like a diagram.
That audio is very low.
David Sampson, we have been summoned here by the people to this desk to unpack what has been framed as enormous industry-changing, sports-changing news. And I will simply read the headline from the Associated Press. ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers to launch sports streaming platform, John. And there's a lot more in the presentation of this, in the press release of this. But the premise here is that 3 channels, 3 networks, 3 corporations really are...
3 competitors?
3 competitors under which there are many networks, many content offerings are coming together in an unprecedented way, allegedly, to say, this is the future of streaming and of sports. And to you, that sounds like what?
That's going to wash local markets,
quite
right?
Confusing to read the quotes, the releases, and it requires some amount of speculation because it's not particularly clear. My speculation is that this is nothing but a light package of channels, much like YouTube TV was a few years, and that what this will consist of is all of the networks listed in their entirety, and these networks have been picked because all these networks have sports on them. But a lot of the language around this is quite confusing. The end of the sentence you read was that they're creating a joint streaming platform to share sports assets. As far as I can tell, they're not going to share them in any way beyond what gets shared right now on a pay TV subscription.
So
it's like saying, well, right now,
that idea you just came up with, that's not happening under this rule. With Shaq and the NBA. This is a business move.
I mean, okay. I need to hear more I'm
Yep.
curious.
Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
All these networks are sharing their sports assets by being in the cable bundle. These guys aren't sharing sports assets. There's no indication they're going to be buying sports together. This is just a light bundle. It happens to be delivered by streaming technology, but this is not a sports streaming service. This is a light bundle of sports-rich channels. Now, maybe that's semantic, but I think there's also an intent to slightly confuse things by the three companies.
But let's go inside the meeting. So there's a meeting. Was Lachlan Murdoch maybe representing Fox? I doubt it. Was Bob Iger in these meetings? He thanked Jimmy Batard, so I assume it was Jimmy in the meetings. And so they're sitting there, although Bob Iger was quoted, and they went right to David Zaslav. So it was the top of the top quoted because this was announced.
That's Warner Brothers.
They had gone up to the mountain, and they had met and come down with the 10 Commandments. So it was presented as though it was a brand new day. So I thought that they sat at a table, and they said, hey, what can you contribute? Let's put everything we have in the middle of the table. What do you got? What do you? Oh, I have ESPN. I have ESPN2. Oh, I've got NBA and TNT. All right, put that in. Put everything in. Now, how about if we just go a third, a third, a third? And I thought to myself, that's when the whole announcement lost credibility, that they're each going to own a third of this with no reporting structure. Who has control of the board? Who appoints the CEO? Because anytime you have a tie, it leads to inaction. So is it whoever contributes the most? Is it whoever gets the most fees for its other networks on other platforms? And what app, even though it's nameless and it's not priced yet, how, when they do the price, why can't Disney say, well, we're 41% of this price, so we ought to get 41% representation?
Well, I think that they are going to get the prices that they charge other distributors. So Disney will get more money from the subscription price. I'm assuming the third is the governance. And while, like you, I find that to be quite difficult governance, it was the governance of Hulu. Nobody had control. And I think they've set up the same thing here where nobody...
But it didn't last.
Well, this hasn't even started yet. So it has every opportunity in the future not to last.
But I don't think for consumers, everyone's all excited, wondering how much is this going to be. This is my alternative.
Yes.
Why are they excited? I'm not excited for them.
Well, part of the premise here is that it feels like a crossover event to serve sports fans what they really want. It goes back to this.
Okay, I had to pause. Like, that was my initial. Like, I didn't outright say that, but I'm like, is this what's going on here? Right, where DC crosses over with Marvel, and Superman ends up in, getting into a fight with Wolverine or something, like type of like, you know what I mean, like the content of it,
Well,
not that I thought that initially. I'm just saying, like, is that where we're going? Like, what's the directive here for this thing?
I think, there's a couple things at play. Remember what I told you about ESPN's problem with Optimum?
Okay.
And it's a problem that's not going away.
I vaguely remember. It's a lot of detail. Shit. But go ahead.
Well, ESPN, like I explained to you their whole business model of how they make money by being on TV packages.
Yes.
As a premium channel, like.
Okay.
Remember what you said about ESPN Plus? Like they charge you like some crazy amount.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
So, anyways, ESPN has made their money for years. They've made billions of dollars by being part of a package that a family pays, where like a mother or someone not inclined to watch ESPN but want other premium channels has to also bear the brunt for ESPN, even though they don't watch ESPN.
Yes.
And so that's how ESPN I think the term is they get paid off people who don't watch them, basically, because they are able to charge Optimum and Comcast, Verizon, DirecTV. They're able to charge a certain price for the rights to have them in their packages.
Yeah.
And so as the years have gone by, their returns have been less and less and less. And people are complaining more and more and more of why they got to pay for ESPN. So then and then these providers are starting to go like, yo, you don't hold the weight you used to. Like, you need to like either lower your price or like something of that nature. Like, it's not gonna, or we're not gonna be able to like carry. We're not going to want to carry you anymore because we keep being told you're not necessary. In the premium channel, like you're not at the same level as HBO or whatever, like one of those high quality channels.
So
So
this is like mutual not mutual destruction, but mutual like survivability. Like if we all bundle
okay,
together
yeah.
like this. Go ahead.
Well, here it is. Fox is very profitable. Fox has all those animated series. They have their like flagship shows that are like what live action and whatsoever, and their sports content. But Murdoch has been trying to join. He's been trying to get into the streaming space for some time. So they're so ESPN and obviously Warner Brothers and ESPN have a vested interest in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like they go hand in hand. But Fox has an interest in joining the streaming services. So that's kind of how these three got together. And if you'll notice, there's somebody missing here. Fucking Paramount and CBS.
True. Wait. So this isn't
Oh, and NBC too. They're gonna get into it. My bad. I kind of spoiled it.
okay, fair enough. But aren't these? This isn't about sports. You're not providing sports here. You're saying it's.
They are providing. They are providing.
But you're saying it's entertainment too.
Well,
or no?
they're all these questions are going to be asked in this video, but basically, the marketing is around sports content. That's the marketing. But yeah, obviously they're trying to make you watch more than sports.
Okay.
But they've decided, Disney, Warner, and Fox have decided that their best commodity to sell in this venture is sports.
Yeah, and
Right.
like I said, this doesn't sound like mutual destruction. It seems like mutual like we all survive type of thing. Like we will all survive if we're tied together like this because
And so Disney has the most to gain because they're literally the entity with the most problems out of the three.
but they're also the
And
most popular namesake though, right? Gotta be.
well, that's a great point. They have to capitalize on the namesake they've made, even though it's a paper tiger. They have to capitalize on the fact that they are well known,
Okay.
and so they have to project that they're not only project but actually like do this to make them actually legitimate. Because okay, so that's kind of where I wanted to get to. They are trying to get around. ESPN and Disney are trying to get around the providers and go direct to consumer. And so, what better way to do that than to attach themselves to these two entities? They couldn't do it on their own. They already tried. ESPN Plus is not. It's not viewed as that kind. Yeah, it's not viewed on the wavelength these three together would be viewed as. And they have to try to get into the space of direct to consumer because that's how they're going to remain profitable to like the standards they've been accustomed to.
Now is it a if ESPN goes down, Fox and Warner Brothers will pick them up, or they go down with them, or something like that, to where there's kind of a security blanket. Is that part of the scenario? Because if they're tied together and they're all, or okay, let me ask this: are they exclusively going to this app, other than cable, right? As far as streaming services go, are they because ESPN Plus, I believe, was tied to the Disney Plus bundle and also the Hulu bundle, like the whole Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus were all kind of tied together, I believe, as like a bundle. Is this like that to where it's like, okay, we're exclusively putting our sports shit all on this unnamed app, or is it? Do you know that or nah?
Do you mean like only sports?
Like ESPN's kind of exclusive streaming content will go to this app. Fox's kind of exclusive sports will go to this app. Warner Brothers exclusive shit will go here, like that type of thing.
I'm not sure. I think they do explain that here.
Okay.
Let's just see if they do.
Because if
But I don't think I can answer that question, to be honest.
I mean, if ESPN's kind of falling down, that'd be a dumb move by Fox and Warner Brothers. If they're, I don't know their numbers, but if Fox and Warner Brothers are doing okay as far as their sports content, I expect Warner Brothers to be like the bottom of all the sports compared to Fox and ESPN. But to where it's like kind of like a win-win situation, like either ESPN goes down a notch or we actually build our sports shit up more. But yeah, if it's ESPN on the shitter end of this and Fox and Warner Brothers are doing all right, like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough. Let's keep playing. Fucking economics confuse me, bro. Here we go.
This conversation we've been having forever on this show, which is how is the age of streaming going to change the consumption of sports? How is it going to make it better for consumers of sports? And so here is the premise. You will get offerings from 15 linear networks, from all of the ESPNs to TNT, True TV, Big Ten Network, et cetera, et cetera. And what John is saying is that this actually isn't some killer app technologically or even in concept. It is closer to what?
It's like YouTube TV. I mean, YouTube TV.
Like with a guide?
Yeah.
So all that we're talking about here is you're going to get an app on your smart TV. You're going to click it, and then you'll have a choice of 20 channels, and it may be NCIS New Orleans. I'm out. Why is anyone in on that?
I think what they're trying to address that is an issue in the market are sports fans who are going, gee, the cable bundle was really expensive, but at least I could get all my sports. Now I got to go aggregate a bunch of different apps and services to get all these sports. And these three companies are coming together and going, we'll give you all of our sports. But they're just giving you all their sports.
It's not all of them,
by
though, right?
Creating a bundle of the channels that carry those sports.
Okay. So it is. So it's just you're buying a bundle that will give you all of ESPN, all of Fox, and all of Warner Brothers content, sports content.
Yeah, it's not just sports.
And but not just sports. So that kind of makes sense. That would make more sense to me. As far as if it was, like, I'm saying it from the perspective of being in service to sports fans, it would make more sense. Like having like to where you're not like you just said, to where you're not buying the Fox app and like fuck, I gotta spend more money to get the ESPN app and spend more money to get the Warner Brothers app.
Bundle. Yeah, it's a bundle bringing all three together.
I thought they were saying in the beginning that there was like a limited thing, like maybe they put on a certain game of the week that you get to see in this one bundle here of ESPN, even though you don't get the full features of ESPN.
No, it's the whole thing.
Okay, well, let me hear more then.
Some of them carry only sports, and some of them carry very little sports.
Right. TBS, True TV, TNT are also...
True TV is great during March, but other than that, during March Madness, I'm trying to think when there's carryover because there are too many games on CBS. When do I ever watch True TV? I'm not sure I ever have.
Well, you wouldn't, but all they're going to say to you is...
Maybe Major League Baseball playoffs.
And it's going to cost...
But who's watching that?
I would bet $49.95. For $49.95, you can get the men's basketball tournament. They'll not mention in that.
Well, you get all
the
of baseball in this package. You get ESPN's baseball playoffs. You get TBS's baseball playoffs. You get the World Series with Fox.
True.
The only thing you don't get is MLB Network.
True. Okay.
But everything else, baseball, you're getting, and I'm assuming you're going to get the NBA Finals too, and the NBA playoffs.
True.
NBA in general.
That's kind of
get.
Yeah.
They got the Big Ten Network, so you're gonna get some of those Big Ten teams, Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah.
College football, college basketball, girls basketball too, I'm sure.
Okay.
What else? NASCAR.
I think this doesn't TNT do golf too? They do like some major tournaments, or is that NBC?
That's NBC and CBS.
I could have swore TNT did some golf shit too. Whatever.
Maybe.
Okay, I was just trying to think of like what's Warner, like he asked like what's Warner Brothers bringing to the table. And no, you're right. You're right. Basketball playoffs, conference finals.
During the spring, during the spring, Warner Brothers. Even the winter, the summertime. Good luck. Warner Brothers got nothing to bring you in the summertime.
Yeah.
Oh, TBS, I guess that no one watches. But
So you basically have the entire NBA playoffs, the entire MLB playoffs. You only have some of the NFL playoffs, right? Because it's CBS and Fox are usually, and ESPN. Well, ESPN does regular.
Monday night football.
I think they got a couple wild cards too, right? ESPN. Yeah.
Well, there's also another nugget. ESPN and Warner Brothers are both bidding for the NBA rights, and so is NBC. And like people are trying to say like, yo, NBC might be the favorite. They're saying it's probably going to be ESPN, but NBC is like making a big push. And imagine if NBC took the NBA away from those two, these guys would be fucked. Warner Brothers would be fucked. As far as this bundle's concerned, they're useless.
I mean,
ESPN needs the NBA. That's their biggest calling card. Is the NBA in this package?
Yeah. And Monday Night Football and.
But the NBA provides way more hours.
True. And if it's an entertainment thing, then Warner Brothers will be the winner of that shit. If it's entertainment.
Yeah, but it's a sports thing. That's how they're selling it.
But if they're doing both, then Warner Brothers wins on the entertainment side. Because ESPN, without Disney, you're not providing entertainment like that. You're not. Fox.
Well, that's
Fox,
the only way.
Not at all either, really.
No, you get what they're saying? Right. They're only marketing this. They're going to get into that too. It's like who's the market? I'll let them say it. Who's the market for this? Because it's an interesting question.
Okay. All right, I'll let them run with this. Let me say.
Does not include, you might get sick and nauseous, and it does not include the games that are on CBS, but you still will get the men's basketball tournament. You get the World Cup in 26. You get the World Series on Fox. You get the National College Football Championship on ESPN. So you get a lot of the sports you want, and you get it for $50. I
don't know why I like this guy, but I like this guy.
Saying here, and
I don't know why
Murdoch
either.
Contorts himself
his voice
semantically by trying to explain that this is only for cord nevers. I guess when
you would never lie to
me.
me.
I just want to make sure you've never ordered a cable television sub, because this is not for you. But it is exactly for the people who are hanging on to their cable television package for $125, but are going to go, oh, for $50 I can get pretty much all the sports I want, other than some things that are on, the MLS on Apple.
But you can't cancel
pay-per-views.
If you are holding on to cable and you then do this new sports platform, there's no CBS, there's none of your local channels the way you get it on cable.
That's a biggie.
Hulu or YouTube.
That's a very big. That's a big.
So I'm not understanding who their demographic is exactly.
Their demographic are sports fans who want to save some money and who want to find it easier to aggregate. What is fairly revolutionary about this is a group of corporations has gotten together and said, for the first time ever, we're going to take our content, put it together, and we're going to compete to sell you that content.
It's called Comcast. They did that.
They did do it.
He's going way too earlier than or too quick to go to Comcast. Pay-per-view. Sorry, pay-per-view. Studios, like I know pay-per-view is like a kind of its own service thing, right? But studios are putting out content onto pay-per-view, and they're kind of competing against each other on the same under the same umbrella. So I think pay-per-view would be like the number one thing that would be brought up right there. But whatever.
Well, they mean that the thing about pay-per-view is what do you think of when you think about pay-per-view? You think about Saturday and Sunday, right?
True. No, not always, but yes. Friday, Saturday, weekends, yeah.
You know what I mean, the weekends. The provider is still king when it comes to paying these assholes for the right to be on their platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The only thing I'll say is ESPN basically forged their entire fucking ESPN Plus formula around pay-per-view for the UFC, and that shit did not work for them.
No. Well, if you, I think it's the UFC app itself, or the UFC. What's it called? Fight Pass or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Fight Pass. Yeah, Fight.
I think you get
Fight.
are pay-per-views included in that. I think so. Right, with the certain amount of money paid per month or yearly or whatever the fuck. I think you get access to pay-per-views as well. No, maybe not. That might be ESPN Plus strictly, but it's still not enough to pull. I don't think people to pay for this entire service just to watch a pay-per-view that happens once a month type of thing, right?
Yeah.
It depends. If the UFC Fight Pass has a pay-per-view included, that'd probably be more valuable than ESPN Plus if you're a fight fan like that. Like, honestly. And they're not providing enough boxing fights. There's only one thing they're basically showcasing, which is the UFC. That's once a fucking month.
They have too many other sports that are shown on a daily that they got to pay the rights to all those sports too. That's the thing too.
Yeah.
So it's almost like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Type of thing. It's like a numbers game that's starting to catch up to them.
Oh, I can see
with
that.
With the service providers. If the service providers don't want to play ball or pay their number, then they need to start becoming a service provider and a direct to consumer. That's what this is for ESPN. And Fox sees the grand plan too. Like Fox is like, yeah, we need to do this too eventually, even though right now we don't really need it.
Mutual survival. All right, here we go.
And there may be a reason.
I'm not an expert on any of this
NBC is
shit.
not in
I'm
this
just like a
race.
normal
So
sports
they
fan,
may not
just like
find this to be
additive,
particularly.
But what does it
adding this
say, John?
perspective,
Because
yeah.
okay, you ran ESPN. At no point, it sounds like in your tenure, was this a thing that was realistically contemplated. So something happened between your tenure and the present that made them consider this, really.
No, there was an attempt at one point. Apple at one point attempted to create this bundle, and they couldn't do it because they would not accept that they had to pay the same prices that Comcast paid. But they did.
When was that, roughly?
I don't know, 2016 or 17, give or take. I mean, it's a good idea to be the person who aggregates sports. Remember, Bob at one point said, not Bob, I think it was Bob Chapek or Jimmy said, gee, we're going to try to create a guide where you can use ESPN to find whatever sports you want to find. Now, we're not going to sell you those channels, but we'll be the arbiter of where everything is and the guide.
They were kind of
not a bad idea, by the way. This is another version of that. But again, my favorite quote here is
then the league started making things, right? NBA League Pass, MLB Network, MLB Extra Innings.
This was really only for cord nevers.
That was Lachlan Murdoch, yes.
Because if this was actually going to compete with the pay, and it's interesting that the guy who's the CEO of the one company that doesn't have a streaming service is now
Fox.
Fox is now stepping outside of that world. Now, by the way, there are lots of people who have
There's
already
no
canceled their
Fox
cable,
Sports app?
who never have gotten cable. So it's not all wrong, but
I
think there is a little bit of
have
effort here to see
streaming.
how upset these distributors are going to be. And in my opinion, they're going to be very upset.
I also found it interesting that ESPN announced the next day that they were going forward with ESPN Plus, not part of this joint venture, and this is their direct-to-consumer offering, and it's going to be another price that you have to pay for ESPN Plus. And what was interesting is I thought what ESPN wanted to do with
that's cable, though,
was push it to ESPN Plus. But now, do they have a responsibility? when they're sitting at the table saying, what are you putting in the pot? What are you putting in the pot? What do you get to keep for yourself? Because in theory, we talked about Bleacher Report sports add-on. Now, we could argue that's going to cease to exist, or we could argue there'll still be stuff on Bleacher Report sports add-on that'll be different than what's put into this app because it's only TNT as an example, or TBS. That remains to be seen. But there's going to be a discussion eventually about what gets put in here.
But
you pause that too. The Bleacher Report, like they have like a deal with like the NBA, or like they show, like they got hella highlights for the NBA or whatever.
Are they House of Highlights? Is that them? Or is that
I don't want to say yeah, but I kind of feel like yeah they are.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure. But I feel
they're the
like
first ones up when TNT ends.
Yes.
They're like the first ones up. I'm just saying.
I think Bleacher Report is part of Warner.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about
that. Yeah.
That's all I want. Yeah. Let's see what they get.
Yeah. But like adding, because of the UFC, right, and their pay-per-views, they still bring a following just for the UFC pay-per-views. They're getting enough like not enough, but like they're getting subscriptions 100% just for UFC pay-per-view content. So it's like, how could you add that into the set, like where it's included? That'd have to up the price like quite a bit, because what do pay-per-views cost? Like on our, like we just buy it individually. It costs ESPN Plus, which is what, $50 for whatever amount of time, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be like, that they have to like recuperate that fucking cash. So there's no way they could just add that to normalize like cable ESPN where you get Monday Night Football. That's not going to be the same as, McGregor versus, Dustin Poirier. You can't do it. But all right, here we go.
I don't know what that means. I mean, the discussion.
I could see why. Sorry to pause. But I could see why the guy all the way to the left, why he brought that up about like, I thought ESPN was going to put all their shit on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
Because of that pay-per-view thing is such a fucking monster. Like that's, and he said they wouldn't put that on the table in regards to these discussions about this new fucking app thing. Like that makes sense to me. All right, here we go.
That are part of Warner Brothers Discovery or the Walt Disney Company or Fox are in this bundle.
When you do a contract negotiation,
not Disney,
you have to
ESPN.
talk to the league about what you're obligated to do, where you're obligated. Are you saying that ESPN could go after a new NBA deal and not tell the NBA or guarantee the NBA that certain number of games are on ESPN, certain are on ESPN2, we're going to put some on the ESPN Plus?
This doesn't violate that. All
because they're all separated.
Is
ESPN Plus will be separate.
ESPN Network. The ESPN Network has guarantees to the league. You're going to get X number of games on Saturday in such and such a time
ABC.
slot. They're still here.
But in the new deal,
is that why they call it ESPN on ABC?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh. All right, here we go.
Yeah, and maybe motivated.
Used to be ABC Worldwide of Sports like things.
The NBA where they get certain games the way Peacock got a Peacock-only game. That comes with a negotiation with the NFL. They're party to that. They're aware of it. Is there not a world where you see that ESPN Plus wants an NBA game?
No, I can see a world where they say we're going to put a division championship on ESPN Plus, and you can only get it if you get ESPN Plus.
So then it won't be in the new company.
Yes, it
will.
It will. It will, because this says it includes ESPN Plus. So everything's on ESPN Plus.
David, this
will
is
be in here.
No, because of the pay-per-view thing, bro. There's no way that's the case. I'll let it keep going. I'll hear their debate. But as far as I understand, it's not even on the. That wouldn't even be on the table.
It includes ESPN Plus. So everything's on the
So David, this is
so you believe that there's a company that's starting where there will be no ability for the three equal partners, which I still don't think they'll be equal, to have anything that's not part of this platform, which you're calling a platform. You're calling it a place where the networks.
They can have anything. They can go to ESPN pay-per-view and put something on that's not in this bundle. But no, they can't go put something on the.
That's what ESPN Plus is. That's the point of ESPN Plus.
It's not on this.
This is what's very funny
Right?
to me that I'm hearing John articulate
I'm
with
excited
clarity.
to see this.
What John is saying is that skinny bundle, whatever it is, it's really just kind of like a deal. Hey, do you guys want to get these 3 things that include all of this stuff? Then we have a one price deal for you. And that's what it, but that's.
And the
so,
distributors have to be pissed off then.
So the question then becomes, okay, so if I'm a consumer who can pay $49.99 to get 15 linear networks, which is really just like my ability to watch all of this stuff, including NCIS, including all the non-sport stuff on those networks and those channels, the question then is, who is most threatened by this in this landscape of this new media economy?
The distributors.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah. And
Because
and look,
I'm
Warner
just going to
Brothers.
talk about the revenue side.
well, the revenue side, Disney is clearly going to see 2/3 of the money here because these networks
Exactly.
have
That's
to
why
be
Warner
paid
Brothers
for
is-
at the same price that Comcast pays for them, or they will violate the MFNs that Comcast has on price.
MFNs meaning?
Most favored nation.
Shaq better pull his dick
Comcast
out on national
As a most
TV.
favored nation, almost certainly
Why?
with all 3 of these companies.
Yeah, listen to
Yes,
that.
Most favored
says-
nation,
want
just to
that?
explain that
You want
means that
that?
you're not
You want
allowed
that?
when you're
3 of these most favored nations.
Oh, he's gonna explain it. Again.
Have to be paid for
Right here.
at the same price that Comcast pays for them, or they will violate the MFNs that Comcast has on price.
MFNs meaning?
Most favored nation. So Comcast, as a most favored nation, almost certainly with all 3 of these companies, certainly with Disney.
most
it
favorite
says-
nation, just to explain that means that you're not allowed when you're cutting deals of how much your product costs. If you're selling a tire screw to a company that's paying you $1 a screw, if there's a most favored nations clause, it means that you can't go to another supplier and sell it for 50 cents, because if you do, you have to go back to the first guy and say, hey, I was overcharging you, I'm going to give you 50 cents off, and now you're only paying 50 cents.
And now this is $49.99
Jesus
a screw.
I
Exactly.
fucking hate business, bro.
And
Sorry.
Hate it.
No. I was just going to say, as I look at this even more, this is overwhelmingly
I understand, but I
going
hate
to
it.
be positive for ESPN and Disney. What they're doing is making all of the Disney networks available now, right? They've talked about we're going to launch direct to consumer. They've just done that. With all of the ESPN networks. I'm assuming it's a bit of a trial balloon, but none of this precludes. This is no different than the YouTube TV effort.
But you're saying they have to charge, though. They have to charge this new company.
Yes, that's why they have
Disney
to
has
set
to
up a.
charge-
That's why they have to set up a. Disney doesn't charge them. The Disney receives payments. The new company. The new company will pay Warner Brothers Discovery for TNT, True TV, TBS. They will pay Fox for Fox Sports 1. They'll pay the Walt Disney Company for ABC, ESPN, and
The
all
new
the
company
rest.
needs money. The new company,
Well,
just to
the-
explain this, the new company has expenses right off the bat.
And-
because if they're
Yeah.
getting channels on their platform, they have to go out and buy the channels. And they have to buy them at the rate that the other distributors already buy them. Because that's what most favored nations. So there's going to be money that's funded by these 3 companies. If then the money, let's say everyone puts in $100 million, then there's $300 million in a new company with a new CEO, with new governance, and what they're doing is they're going buying channels. They're going to back to each other. So they go back to Disney and say, hey, Disney, I need all these channels. All right, we'll sell them to you for $12 for ESPN, for $3 for ESPN2, et cetera, et cetera. All right, TNT, what do you cost? Oh, like 75 cents. All right, Zaslav, you get 75 cents.
Well, they probably can skip one step. They probably
should on the Warner
know
Brothers
these
guy.
channels are in. They know what they cost, but that's accurate. The new entity will have to be funded. I'm assuming it'll be funded a third. They will license those channels. They will go to market to consumers and say, if you just want to get sports, this is your best deal.
And NCIS.
They probably will not say that.
And Family
I
Feud.
mean, look at what all the announcements say. All the
Well,
announcements
this
have
is-
made this sound like it's just sports.
Because it
it's
also
not just sports.
And
in
reach your light.
In that massaging of the announcement, it makes it feel like, again, it's some sort of new product. But what the newness of this, John, you sort of slipped it in at the end there, is that now you can actually get all of the ESPN family of networks streaming. You can get it in the way that has been long rumored on Wall Street.
Yeah, forget streaming. I mean, streaming is just a technology to distribute. The thing is, you're buying them directly
that's
from
why they
the
did that.
companies. That's the difference.
I wonder if that's why they did that with the Disney bundle. If that's why they kept it ESPN Plus without beefing up ESPN Plus. Like there's some sort of vision about what was going to happen around now-ish type of thing. Where it's like, okay, ESPN Plus, it's kind of like it's a little more specialized. It's mainly the UFC is the big draw for ESPN Plus, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't put full-on ESPN in a bundle with Disney Plus and Hulu, right? They kind of kept it. I wonder if they did that on purpose for the sake of they knew this was coming type of thing. I don't know. Either way, I feel like an idiot. Like, watching all this, I'm just like, fucking planets orbiting my fucking head right now. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? But certain things are making sense to me. As far as, like, maybe shady business deals or business deals that actually, if they were consumer-friendly business deals, I can see that as well. I'm curious. Here we go.
Rumored on Wall Street.
Yeah. Forget streaming. I mean, streaming is just a technology to distribute. The thing is, you're buying them directly from the companies. That's the difference. And that means that they are now in the direct-to-consumer business.
Disney has now officially gotten into that
But
business.
you can only get it with a device, with a smart TV or with an iPad or with some sort of device. You can't just have rabbit ears. A rabbit ear TV will not have access to this.
That's why it is a streaming
So that's the streaming
service.
concept.
Right, but so you mentioned, though, I want to distinguish between, again, so Disney doing this themselves via this third governance operation, different from YouTube TV, but YouTube TV feels like another party here that should feel threatened.
Well, YouTube TV entered the market as a lower cost bundle that was
Of TV.
distributed streaming and that aggregated channels. So, in fact, what these three companies have done is gone into competition against YouTube TV, which has most of these channels. And in one of the great ironies, YouTube TV was launched as a sort of circa $40, $45 channel. And the reason it's now $70 is they launched without ESPN, which was very difficult for their business. And when they added ESPN and the family of networks, they had to take their price up. And now the Walt Disney Company, in league with Fox and Warner Brothers, is going to, nothing wrong with it, it's good American capitalism, but they're going to go in and compete. And they're going to, I guarantee you, it's going to be a lower cost alternative to YouTube TV. And it will be an interesting
fun and games
discussion
between them, but
the next time the
regular people get left out.
YouTube
Sports
TV
fans
guys
get shit
who
on.
have 8 million subscribers.
Possibly.
They're a real player. They have, I think, about the same, maybe slightly more subscribers than DirecTV now.
I'm one of them. I use
How about an ESPN app for all of ESPN? Everything ESPN does, all of it.
No, they want to double and triple dip.
Exactly. They'll never fucking do that. Fox, I know Fox. Well, Fox is they don't have the UFC anymore. They have boxing pay-per-views and all that shit. They have the World Series, like you said. NASCAR, NFL, the NFC, right? The
College football. They got college football too. They got college football.
I mean, fuck, man. It feels like funny numbers, like a funny number game they're playing as far as like how much these things should actually cost in total if we're gonna do it in some sort of bundle situation. They're trying to yeah, you're right. They're trying to like get extra licks on all this shit.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
use the product. Would you? Okay, but let me ask you this then, because of course you're competing with the thing that you're also enabling if you're Disney. And so does this get to a place where Disney says to themselves, we don't want to give YouTube TV our stuff? Or no, do you see this all coexisting?
I don't think so. I think what they're trying to do at the peak, not the peak of anything, just the peak of cable subscription penetration, there were about 100 million households. As cable television has lost households, Walt Disney and Warner Bros. Discovery and Fox are trying to figure out ways to sell products that will allow them to get their subscribers back. Right at one point, it was $100 million times the monthly fee. Now it's $60 million homes. Now it's 60 million homes times whatever the monthly fee is. So the economics of this will be pretty close to the same on revenue. On the other hand, these three companies will incur the expenses, as you pointed out, because they now have to take phone calls from people who want to order. They have to respond to customers whose product doesn't work. They have to deal with credit card bad debt. They have to deal with marketing and finding these people.
For people with YouTube TV, the 8 million of you, so you're presented with YouTube TV, you know exactly what you pay. I'm presented, I have Hulu Live. No ads. That's my thing. There's no way that I'm paying an extra $49 for what I have. Are you paying an extra $49 for what you have?
There is no added value to me.
Zero. So now
I already pay for the.
So let's go to the other people. So it's not us.
That's just ESPN.
And it's not the OnlyFans. It's not rich white OnlyFans people. We're talking about 8 million YouTube, plus add all the Hulu subscribers. Now the people who have cable already. So who's being marketed? This is what I've been racking my brain with. Who is the market for this service? Is there room in the market for another platform of live TV?
So David Zaslav, the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO, has framed it this way. This new sports service exemplifies our ability as an industry to drive innovation, provide consumers with more choice, enjoyment, and value, right? And so who's getting that value? It feels like the most casual sports fans who don't want CBS or need CBS or NBC, but kind of want everything else. It's a weird
I thought you meant
premise.
the other side, not the casual sports fan. It's for the sick sports fan who only wants sports.
No, but a casual it's a bit of a contradiction, right? I'm casual enough to not need CBS and NBC, but I would like everything else.
Well, remember, it wasn't constructed to be perfect. They would like to. I'm sure they would like to have all the sports in here, and NBC and CBS aren't in.
Well, CBS told them to shove it, right? They were. You think that the three of them got together and said, you know what? Let's not invite Peacock and Paramount Plus to this table. This is a great threesome. Let's not make it a pentagon, a five-tuple, thuple.
Pentagram.
Thank you. I don't believe that that's how this happened. I think that CBS and I think that NBC both said that we are going to continue our investment in Paramount Plus and in Peacock, and we do not see any value into funding and being a 20% owner in a company that is a pretend sports-only bundle.
I have no idea, actually, though. I would assume certainly that NBC did not get a call. They make more money on Comcast, and my guess was nobody wanted to tip them off that, hey, we're thinking about doing this.
Well, how could they stop it? What's wrong with them?
Comcast cable.
Nothing.
You think they were kept secret?
Xfinity.
That'd be quite a secret.
I also know that the management teams of NBC and Disney are
They're TV provider too.
So I'm just
right.
My guess would be they did not get a call, and my guess would be CBS didn't either because it just adds expense to the bundle. By the way, every distributor has to have a very, very basic package of just broadcast networks. That's required.
Caveman
by
brain
law.
is just
so you can theoretically
assuming.
drop your cable network, cable subscription, get the most.
Just,
basic
hey,
one
sports
that
here.
offer,
That's
which
it.
is Broadcast networks.
All sports
Buy
here.
you would get
That's
all
it.
the sports.
That's all you fucking need. But that's not
So
that's me
what
thinking
I'm-
of
what
like
I'm
for
learning
sports
is that
fans
there is a cable bundle I
they
never
overthought.
recall seeing that when I was
compared
a
to business
proud
wheeling and dealing.
cord lover, where I could have just gotten ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and Channel 13
I think
public
so.
television. I don't ever recall that. That's below the basic cable. Is that the broadcast
Well, let me
tier?
suggest to you that it might not have been advantageous for any of the distributors to highlight that package, which would be the lowest price package. Do you note that when you go in a grocery store, they generally are marketing the things they want you to buy and not marketing the things they make the least money
I'd like
on?
Pablo Torre to find out whether or not on cable there is a tier.
Whether or not
That is not- no
you can
cable.
buy the generic cereal version.
The rabbit ear
cable.
version. It's the rabbit ear bundle.
It may be obsolete at this point. Remember, cable started as a way for rural homes to get television because they could not receive the signal. That was the
It
derivation.
was a literal cable that they had to run
Yeah,
out.
it's a literal cable, and it was because the country believed, as he did when they invested in the internet, that it would be advantageous for our citizens to be able to access news and public service announcements, et cetera, et cetera.
Real America must get Cinemax.
Yeah, and I mean, we wouldn't have the enlightened and intellectual voting population we have without that, probably.
Oh, God.
I hear your sarcasm.
But
Lovely.
But one of the big takeaways for many young people here, I think,
I bet that guy
has
hates
been
Trump.
the
The
joke
guy in the middle.
of like,
I bet he does.
now they get
Insult
cable.
the Southerners.
Now we're back, and this is a thing we've talked about on
liberal
this show and on mine with
Southern
you
Yeah.
guys about, of course, how John oversaw within cable the greatest media business in the history of media in terms of money coming in, and how the promise of streaming was never a reality, was never delivered to these consumers. And so, of course, John, when you talk about the skinny bundle here, is this a forerunner? Is this just step one of the great rebundling in which we can get back to that? Or is there no
I don't know.
undoing?
It feels hard to get back to the great bundle. There's just going to be too many options. I mean, look, already you're going to be able to buy ESPN here. You're going to be able to buy it directly from the Walt Disney Company as a standalone direct-to-consumer. You're still going to get it on YouTube TV. You're still going to get it in Comcast. I think it's just more complicated.
I did an informal poll.
Also
And by
quality.
that, I mean I spoke to a bunch of people via text and phone about this before the segment on Nothing Personal. And I had a few interesting comments back. Hey, is there a movie one available? Was one. Is somebody going to start a company where I'm going to get all the movie channels so I can watch movies? Is there a news one? Is there someone asked whether there was a porn one? So the bundle that you're talking about is that we are now going to a consumer with, you only like sports, you only like movies, news, etc. But what is news to me from our preparation for this show is the NCIS portion. Because if I have a movie bundle, there's nothing I hate more than going to a movie channel. It's like going to MTV back in the day when they weren't showing videos. And then all of a sudden MTV had no videos. And it wasn't I expected videos. So when I go to a movie channel, I want a movie. When I go to the sports app for $50,
Well, this is
I
my
don't
point.
want NCIS.
It's not a sports app. It's a.
They called it one.
It's a curated bundle.
Yeah,
of networks
see how they
that
started off
run
one
their
way?
program.
Good?
Because this guy was the CEO of ESPN, the middle guy.
Yeah, I heard it.
He's kind of a dick rider.
Oh, so he's still loyal to them. Okay.
You know what? He gets their talent to come on this podcast.
Yeah.
Because he owns this podcast.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
Yes, and he gets a lot of ESPN people to come on. He gets a lot of actors too.
I mean, if I tie this to, like, fuck, man. I mean, okay, he's basically asking about, like, essentially like a group thing, like a family is owning this package, compared to just some individual, just like a sports nut, right? Who wants to watch sports and FanDuel all night and shit like that.
Well, that's the thing. Is that's the question. Who is this being marketed to?
It's got to be sports fans, right?
Yeah, it's got to be that the second guy you said. The second scenario seems like way more probable. But then it's like, I don't know. It's like it seems faulty because it's not just sports. So think about it. Think about it logistically. Like you have an app for this. Is that shit going to be a dumpster fire to find the shit you want to watch?
Well, it could end up being just expensive. Well, let's be honest. Okay, you're gonna.
No,
Yes,
you're right. I know what you're about to say. They can raise the price later too.
it could, but at the same time, it's like you're providing ESPN without Disney's content, right? Basically, you're getting just sports shit. You're getting Fox without Fox's entertainment. Not really. I mean, you're getting like what, Fox 5, but you're not getting, the shit that they sold to Disney, which is Searchlight and Hulu and all that shit. Warner Brothers, I guess you're getting Warner Brothers shit.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They are telling you, like you don't know what's gonna be in it. They're telling you it's a sports. It's being marketed as a sports bundle, but there's more to sports. And so then, but they're also not going to tell you which divisions are coming or going or not coming or not going into the streaming service. So they're going to pick and choose, just how ESPN Plus is still going to be exclusive to this.
They're gonna have to explain that before they release it, right? Of here's
They
what the
haven't
package
so
is.
far. They haven't so far.
Fair enough. But it's like I watched something where like Netflix is just pumping shit out. You're gonna compete with if you're gonna do the whole like 360 of types of entertainment, sports, TV, film, right? Like your film's gonna be probably lacking here. Like it does. We need to see what they're bringing to the table, man. Because like what's Warner Brothers bringing? Is it HBO Max? Something tells me that can't be the case. That can't be the case, right? Exactly.
No, dude. They created a whole fucking. That's probably besides Netflix. What's more profitable than HBO Max? What's more popular? Not profitable, popular.
It's got to be them or Disney Plus, right?
Amazon too.
Amazon.
Apple. I don't know. No, I don't think Apple's. I don't think. Yeah, like it's. I'm not saying. I'm saying these names, Amazon, Apple, but they're not more popular. They're just. They probably provide more than HBO Max would.
Why? Why would it? I guess, like they said, like they didn't even bother going to CBS or NBC, right? Towards like just make it a giant sports package for just sports shit. Here's sports shit. Like that's my caveman thinking. Sports shit. Okay, movie shit or TV. Thank you. Like it's kind of simple, but these are fidangling motherfuckers, man. To where you're in the pan regardless of who you are, right? Unless you're just a loner fucking sports nut person. You probably have a wife or a kid or something like that to where you want other apps if you want to get rid of cable. And let's see how much money you're spending on all these different fucking apps.
Well, the guy made the point earlier, the guy on the left, that you're going to be able to get all this through regular cable and YouTube TV and other services, Comcast. So it's like this shit's almost a scam, basically. It's almost a scam.
Yeah. Well,
I think it might just be a full-on scam.
not unless things go in such a direction to where, and I know there's like my mom has a DirecTV app to where it's like basically your whatever satellite or cable basically as an app. Maybe that would be the next step, but like I don't see how like cable's gonna hold up with everyone going in all these disparate directions like that. Right. The older generation, they're getting older. I'm not trying to be dark about it, but like they're dying off, and cable's going to be essentially obsolete. I think at some point.
There's a couple of things. I think it will be obsolete, but I think there's a couple factors. First of all, you know how these businesses think. I mean, as far as like I've been around, these guys only care about the short-term profits. Yeah. I don't care what industry you're in. Longevity doesn't really seem to be at the forefront of any industry's mind when it comes to bottom lines.
Yeah.
It's usually like the fucking the closest cycles possible. So that's one thing. Another thing is, even though like there's diminishing returns, it's still more profitable than the streaming mechanism. It's still more profitable to be Comcast and to do what Comcast does, even if they're getting a diminished return time and time again. Because why are we leaving cable to begin with? It's expensive, and it keeps becoming more expensive, and you really don't have a say.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be on a certain tier, meaning you want to watch certain things, you have to pay. So they are a monopoly, and now these guys are trying to like they're saying like, "Oh, you're like you're the way of the past, and we need to find a way to like be more hands on with our product reaching consumers."
Yeah.
But that path does not seem. It's definitely not forecasted. You don't know what way it's gonna go. And this guy's saying like, "Oh, like they're basically they're working from a position of defeat where it's like, oh, they were in 100 million, now they're in 60 million, and they're trying to get back to that number, but they're gonna incur expenses." But I guess they're saying, I guess it has to hurt now to pay off later. But you don't really know if that's gonna be the case.
Okay.
But I guess the alternative, because the shit that's happening is like that's beyond bad PR, bro. It's like it was during the opening week of college football last year, and Optimum, they knew in advance that Optimum was not gonna renew their shit, and they still like they didn't tell anybody that their shit was gonna get cut off, and you can like work it out with the provider.
Yeah.
To where you can decide when to cut off your signal, and they cut off the signal 5 minutes before kickoff to like a really important game in the beginning of the season.
Bro.
And they did that to drum up support or sympathy, like to call Optimum pissed off, like, "Yo, we demand you bring back ESPN." And Optimum, at first they didn't budge, then they finally did. But it's like, how many times do you think you get away with this if you're ESPN? Like that was like a wake up call. Like, yo, like if you're fiscally responsible, or like or like you're in charge of like taking this company into the next phase, which is losing money, might I add, hand over fist. They did a couple things. They did the ESPN bet, where now they're into sports gambling, and they're doing shit like this.
Oh my goodness gracious! I wonder how much on the backs of this is the NFL. Well, I know. All right, NBC has Sunday Night Football, right?
And CBS has a lot of football.
They have AFC shut, and they have AFC playoffs. Fox is NFC. ESPN. It's actually 50-50.
NBC has a game of the night. I think it's.
They have the Super Bowl too.
It's either or, and those three swap Super Bowls every year. Okay. NBC, Fox, and CBS, they swap who gets the Super Bowl every year.
Okay, well, okay, it's kind of even then. That's kind of even. Monday night is probably Monday night, and then Sunday night, it's ESPN, NBC. You have NFC, AFC, that's Fox and CBS. Then you have NFC playoffs on Fox, AFC on CBS.
The ESPN gets the opening wild card weekend.
ESPN gets wild card. I think NBC gets wild card as well. Right?
Maybe, yeah, maybe they share it.
I think,
and then
Amazon gets Thursday.
Fox and CBS get the division and championship, and then one of NBC's, Fox or CBS gets the Super Bowl.
And Amazon gets Thursday nights, right?
Amazon gets Thursday nights. Yes.
Or NFL Network or whatever it is.
Both. Yeah, both. It's both.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, the NFL obviously, but it's the NBA too.
I'm thinking about this like when you said this video, I was going into this thinking like, okay, it'll be about the sports. The sports kind of themselves not holding up to where, okay, we need to collude together to like make our sports look, the sports we're covering, at least as a network, seem relevant because we're bundled with, NBA on TNT, or we're bundled with NASCAR, or we're bundled with whatever Monday Night Football or something like that.
Yeah.
Like to where the numbers like even out. But now I'm like, Fuck, I'm lost now. Like I'm lost. I had a narrative that I was going to go in with it. I'm just lost now with all this. Good.
Well, I'm just going like, like Fox and ESPN are both. I don't really like. I don't know. I know a lot about ESPN just like from hearing like what's going on. As far as Fox is concerned, I'm not too sure. Like, what's the motivation beyond like, oh, like they probably feel it's time to get into the streaming
Yeah, but why don't they
business.
just make their own fucking competitive
That's a
stream?
great question. Why are they going this route? You know exactly why ESPN's doing. ESPN tried to get the NFL, MLB, and NBA to invest in them. They all said no,
Yeah.
and so and it's like it's been one L after the other for ESPN, and this is like a last straw effort to. Because they're like, Disney's Disney's been looking for a seller for ESPN, and
You get woke,
they're
you
like,
go broke. Sorry.
there's also like you're asking like, oh, why is ESPN being excluded from Disney? And it's like Disney wanted it that way. It's
Oh
not
my
like
god.
Disney wanted it that way, dude. So Disney's like, it's almost trying to distance itself, and also at the same time, like, all right, we got to do certain things. We got to do everything possible to make this portfolio get better.
Oh my god. What if it's fucking Adrian Beltre free agency year where they're like this motherfucker hits 50 home run, like they're trying to do that shit. Like, okay, let's kind of put it on its own. See if it boosts itself to such a height where like when we sell it it's worth this much. But we know what's going on here. Like we know it might go good chance it could go downhill or whatever the fuck. And like kind of separate the entity from the mouse, at Disney.
I mean,
That'd be interesting.
it's like, dude, it's like look at it logically. They have lost their glimmer. They're not what they once were. Even the guy said it. Like they've lost 40% of their income of their revenue.
But I thought that glimmer would have been like such a big glimmer that they'd be all right. And even if they're having down times, like right now, it's still the name is still ESPN. Like, oh my god, ESPN. Like that's the biggest. It's still like as far as like
Jordan,
people talking, that's the biggest sports name, right?
Well, Jordan, here's the thing. Like I said, consensus I've seen is ratings are king. TV ratings are king. ESPN used to every night get cheap, big time ratings from highlights. You and me will never watch ESPN for a highlight, but there was a time when they used to get that free, that cheap view.
Yeah.
And so once you take that and these guys are left to their own devices to become creative, it has not worked out for them. And that's probably something that wasn't calculated. Like how big of a business model was the fucking Sports Center? Because it had to be a big fucking deal for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
It was a revenue that was like taken for granted. And now that shit's gone. And so it one thing it feeds into another. That you could see how those diminishing returns are also societal influence into why no one wants to fucking watch ESPN anymore. They lost interest. So, you go to ESPN for what? NBA and fucking stupid ass debates in the morning.
Oh shit. True.
And
football.
NBA, NFL, some baseball, college football, college basketball, and these dipshits talking in the morning. You don't go anymore. There's no Stuart Scott, bro. There's Scott Van Pelt. Ain't nobody watching Scott Van Pelt, bro.
Oh fuck. Oh man. Okay, that does remind me of the movie shit, where it's like the box office revenue versus, because if you go to like streaming services, if they're paying whatever $12 a month for your streaming service, is that equal to you being in the movie theaters for fucking 8 months and you're generating fucking 200, 300, 400, 800 million fucking dollars, bro? It's like, it's not the same thing, man, because you're being split between all these other fucking pieces of content, and it's like that's kind of desperation point, instead of like where you're like, I could just stand on my own. We're that important. That makes sense. Like where you're so important on your own, like ESPN, the stature ESPN used to be.
Exactly. Yes. The lore. It's like oh, like these dipshits say like, oh, woke politics or like this and that. It's like, I'm not gonna dismiss it offhand and be like, no, that doesn't play. It doesn't. It does it matter 1%, 2%, 5%, like 10%. Like it's not a high number. It's more like, I don't know. There's something beneath the surface where it's like a metaphysical relationship you have with something, and it just dwindles in front of your eyes, and you may not be able to express like, oh, why is this happening? But you if you thought about it long enough, you could come up with the answer. It's just it takes a little more investigation, a little more I don't know, like initiative
The people
to
from
come to that
yesteryear.
end.
Yeah, the people from yesteryear. It's they're probably like, what the fuck is happening? Kind of similar to the movie studios, but all right, let's play this out. Here we go.
Show sports.
That's
feels
not in
like
the press
they're-
release.
But
No, it's not quite what it says in the release. No.
which is why I laugh at the possibility that maybe they're just quietly trying to recreate cable. Like, and this is just like the beginning
If
of
what
like,
John is saying is true, that's what they're doing.
and sports is the Trojan horse, right? That's
what
larger joke. in
streaming
all of
service was
this,
supposed to
the
do.
joke that we've been seriously analyzing on this show.
We lost out to
more than
streaming,
anybody
so unlike
else in
Netflix.
human history.
So we need
there are two kinds of consumers.
Okay,
I
so
think.
pause it real
One
quick
is,
now. Pause it real quick.
I'll agree with Mr.
It goes back to what you just said. This thing on its own, though, as far as that's concerned, streaming and all that, ESPN on its own is just not good enough. But I don't think this is I don't think this is a needle pusher either, though. If I'm being honest.
Not the way it's sounding for. It's like even sports nuts are going to lose out because they're missing out on the other half of Eastern or Western Conference, NFC or AFC, National League, American League. Like in a way, they're kind of missing out a bit. Not with baseball. Baseball, they're fine. But because no one cares about baseball. But
probably like 60% of the NFL. Nah, less. Maybe like 45% of the NFL. He said, "Yeah, you're missing out."
No, NBA they're good. But NFL, yeah, the biggest sport.
But yeah,
if NBC gets that contract, then yeah, they're 100% missing out. They're missing a lot more.
they're screwed.
All right, here we go.
I think ESPN. They're gonna find a way. They can't. They literally can't survive without the NBA. If they lose the NBA, then they're really dead. They're really done.
All right, here we go.
Like for a moment, which is there are many young people who've never had cable and would like to watch sports. This may be an entry package for those people. However, to suggest it's not also a package for people who are going, the only reason I'm still getting cable, and I hear this all the time, is sports, and particularly ESPN. So this is, for the first time, an option that allows you to say, if you want, prior to this, you could not get ESPN anywhere other than buying a subscription from one of the major distributors.
I think that cable is just like comfort for older people. Used to commercials and all that shit.
They're throwing Disney said
we're cutting out. That's how ESPN made money.
Which is they're getting the same payment. So I don't quite know yet the incremental revenue, because all it is another platform that's going to buy from Disney, ESPN. And the existing deals they have with distributors, if there are fewer subscribers to those distributors, they will say, come renegotiation, hey, man, we don't have 100 million people anymore. We have 90. And Disney will say, no problem. I'll get 90 from you, and I've got 10 from this new entity, of which I own a third.
I mean, interestingly enough, I'll give it one slight odd thing. The margin on these subscribers from another distributor will be greater because you're not doing the customer service or the marketing. So in an odd way, while they'll get, let's just make it up, say ESPN gets $1. That dollar is $1 when it comes from Comcast. That dollar is $1 minus the cost of this organization or per sub, which will mean it won't be $1.
That's why I say it's a desperation play.
And they only own a third of it.
Yeah, but
in
they'll
theory.
get. But for
Say that again?
if they end up with 1 million subscribers,
Well, that's why I say it's like a desperation
except
ploy
for
from
the
them.
cost
Like
of
they
operating
need,
the entity.
Yeah.
they need
It's the same
extra
money you
extra
get
fucking
from
money.
TV
Yeah.
or from Comcast.
To
We
remain
think
profitable.
that, but we don't know. We don't know what what
It's a
Disney will have
mandate
to
from
put into
Disney.
the pot
Disney's
of
taking
this
a
new
mandate on
company,
this.
of the revenue
You're
that
just a
comes to
property of
Disney.
Disney.
It just hasn't. They haven't.
You're not what
formulated it.
Disney
There's
bought.
no
Disney
governance.
bought
They
a,
don't.
like
We've seen.
a behemoth.
governance
You're
has
no
been
longer that.
announced.
Yeah.
Is that they'll each be a third, a third, a third. So that would imply, would it not, that they're each funding this venture to a third.
I'll bet you $1. It's not a third, a third, a third. Mortimer. At the end, when it's all said and done.
But wait a minute. I want to ask how this. So
Trading
framing of
Places
this too,
reference.
right, is ahead of
I like
the
that.
next rights deal negotiation, which is the NBA.
Nah, someone's going to hold weight
That
there.
event
So
as well. John, how do you think this Voltron, that's not really a Voltron, how does it change the bidding for NBA rights?
That only changes anything, right? One of the reasons I believe that the whole network is in there is the contract with the rights holders usually specifies it must be on such and such a network. So as long as they put the full network in here, they are in compliance with those contracts.
If I'm Adam Silver, I am making sure that I'm speaking to the owners of this new entity and making it very clear that if they think they're going to talk to each other and that they are going to in any way quash the value of what I expect to make as a multiple of what I'm currently making, then I'm going to get my little government friends involved and maybe do a little antitrust action.
But this
That goes
entity is
without
not gonna buy
saying, though.
sports rights. ESPN's going to buy sports rights.
But they're competing entities for the sports
I know,
rights.
but the reason
But
they're doing
that's
separate
not. They're not
entity
going
is to provide
If they did
themselves-
that, that'd be so egregious.
This is really important,
Yeah.
though.
No.
This distinction is
I
very
actually
important.
I
Let's,
actually don't
bump the
suspect
price
that
up
they're
of what-
going to sit in a room and go,
Or
make sure
lower the
everybody
price, I
comes
mean,
to our
of
office,
what
talk
we
about
pay
what
the
you're
NBA to
bidding.
provide their
You
service
can
or
do
provide
that
their
now
sport.
if you wanted to.
David's
but
face
they
could not be
don't.
more
No way they
incredible.
do
You're
that.
partners with Turner. You're partners with them in a large company. You're both competing for an
I'm
NBA
partners
package.
with them in an announcement so
Okay.
far. That's all I'm partners with them
Agreed.
in.
But in theory,
They have
if
too
you're-
much to lose, right? You always got to have they might cheat and they might try to do something, but there's no reason to. You still go buy the NBA rights. You put them on ESPN, ABC, and TNT, and they're in this service.
That's two separate companies you just mentioned. Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery.
They are, and they will negotiate separately in this case. By the way, in the last rights negotiation, we were allowed to, long as we were transparent, we were allowed a certain degree of discussion about what our bids were, and we did ultimately make a bid that was equal, right? In terms of, gee, here's what we pay now. We're going to go up X percent. You're going to go up X percent at the same time. That often happens casually as well, just meaning you often, whoever goes first, you have to match it, right? We did
Boy,
that.
that sounds a lot like what I was saying.
No.
Which means the microphones were off. You
You're-
were having
once
the
again,
discussions.
Once again, you're not going to believe me, but I never called a competitor and asked them what they were bidding or how they were handling something, unless I called the rights holder and said, I want to discuss doing something together with Fox. I want to discuss doing something together with TNT.
But you're the one who told FIFA that I'll do $1 more than anyone else
did.
bids.
I did, but I didn't ask anybody else what they were bidding.
Just surprise me. Give me a sealed
No,
envelope,
it's-
and that'll
no.
be my bid.
No, it's illegal. I tend to want to prefer not to do things that are illegal.
What John is saying, David, is that the law provides enough cover that he doesn't need to do the illegal thing and can get enough of the benefit from the legal thing. while worrying you, person who is concerned about, are they secretly doing stuff to make me get less money?
It just seems as though this new company, I think that it's going to be examined. I think we can move on for sure.
Well, it raises questions, though,
there's
about like
a lot of
I
questions.
would
what does this
guess they'd
really mean in
be-
terms of
they'd
cooperation?
go by the
What does this
book,
mean in terms
my
of
guess.
sharing of resources, talent,
Because of
shows,
the
and what
potential outcome
cross-pollination is there?
What does
It
it
to
mean
seems
for
keep
like
themselves
consumers?
going, and then in
I
the
think
future
this
maybe
is the
make
old
profit
Empire
somewhere.
Strikes Back. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, with all that's going on, everything going on,
I don't think
we're
they
gonna
outright
enter
cheat the NBA
direct-to-consumer
or
game. We're gonna do it
NFL
together.
or
You wanna get
whatever.
your sports, come get them here.
Mainly NBA, I guess.
someone's hand is getting cut off, though.
It feels that way.
The other big change in the world of sports business and the media economy as a result, John, is this thing that the Big Ten and the SEC have announced, right? And so I want to do the thing
Right,
here,
you
too,
can
where
tell
we
me.
decode what this press release is really indicating. But the Big Ten and the SEC,
Yeah, we're good here.
That's it. All right,
Yes.
that's interesting. I know this is like kind of boring ass shit, but sports fans should pay attention as far as their access to watching sports. Even like, oh man, not to get conspiratorial, but like maybe how sports are played. Like, actually, look at the MLB speed up shit. Like, that's not for the game. It's not for the view. Like, it's kind of for the viewers. It's to get viewers. And you try to get viewers for what? For networks, for streaming services, for whatever. To make money off that shit, because it's the new wave. Like, so, should be important to sports fans. Any last words, Anthony?
No, that's it. I agree with you. It should be. It's something to consider. Doesn't hurt to know.
Fair enough. I
Doesn't
agree.
mean I know. Doesn't mean I know more than the next guy. Just
Yeah.
interesting topics.
All right, there's our review of Dan Le Batard, Game Changer or Game Over? Is the new ESPN Fox Warner Brothers Discovery streaming bundle Endgame? Question mark. There you go.